Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Stop the slander. Cory Sandhagen did not get dominated. It was a very close fight. And also, stop the slander. Umar won. Umar won. Cory didn't get dominated. I need everyone to realize that. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Hardcore and the Casual podcast. I'm your host, Justin, and on today's episode, I am joined once again by Elijah. Welcome back, Elijah. How's it feel to be back?
Feels great.
Feels great? Yeah, so I've won my title back from you now. I won it back when I left for Atlantic City, and I retained it by a draw. I retained it by a draw on this Umar versus Cory Sandhagen card.
Wow.
But are you willing to admit that I am champ? I hope you are.
It's a respectable win.
Okay.
I respect it.
Okay. You're not going to claim an interim title or anything like that, or not this time?
Nah.
All right, good. I'm glad we're past that by now. All right, so we're going to do a little review on Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov now, and then we are also going to go back and we are going to talk about 304 since Elijah didn't get to give his opinions on last week's episode since I was away. We're going to do a prediction for Tabora versus Spivak,
Yes.
and then Elijah is going to give us a little bit of a boxing rundown of what happened with the Terrence Crawford fight. So that's what you're looking forward to now. We're going to jump right into it. Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov card on ABC. It was so filled with decisions. This was crazy. There was 4 finishes the entire night, 3 knockouts and 1 submission.
Uh-huh.
And most of the other fights were pretty boring decisions,
Wow.
I'll have to say. So on the prelims, I'm not really going to go over too much. I mean, like I said, boring decision after boring decision.
It felt like a weird card, right?
It was a weird card, but I enjoyed a lot of it. Like the Garam fight was pretty good. He was getting pieced up in the first round, came back to win against the guy that was debuting. Shamil Gaziev laid on top of the guy for most of the fight. And then we had the first knockout of the night, which was the only person from Abu Dhabi or from the UAE that was fighting on the card got knocked out, and it was the first knockout of the night.
Yeah.
Sad for the UAE for that. But then we had Alonzo Menefield versus Azat Mirzakhanov. Mirzakhanov is undefeated, and Menefield had just been beaten by Carlos Oldberg like 2 months ago. Azat looked really, really good. He trains in New Jersey. He fights out of Russia but trains in New Jersey. And he was putting on a performance, piecing him up, knocked him out in the second round. Beautiful performance. He needs a guy higher ranked. So, I'm big on Azat Mirzakhanov, 14-0. And knocking guys out, like straight, like out cold, unconscious.
He might be a prodigy.
Yeah, I'm in. He seems great. Moving up to the main card, we had Joel Alvarez versus Brenner. And Joel got the second knockout of the night, or third knockout of the night at this point. So 3 knockouts in a row. Mm-hmm. So there was that middle section of the card, which got really, like, intense, but most of it was decisions. Mackenzie Dern picked up a decision win.
See, just because it's a decision doesn't mean
it doesn't mean
a bad fight,
no.
you know?
It's just like you look at the card and you see a bunch of decision, and it's not something that you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go back and watch this. It's like, bunch of decisions. I kind of know how it went.
Yeah,
like something like that. But if you hear about a good fight on this card, by all means, go back and watch it. It's just a lot of decisions.
Yeah.
Then we had poor Tony Ferguson getting submitted in the first round by Michael Chiesa. Man.
How else is that fight going to go, man?
It wasn't going to go any other way. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen, and it happened. Man, Michael Chiesa broke his losing streak. I think he was on a 3-fight losing streak. Tony Ferguson now has the longest losing streak in UFC history at 8. 8 in a row. Some really high-level names, but that doesn't... he needs to retire.
Paddy Pimblett.
He already lost to Paddy Pimblett.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was like his last fight. He lost to Paddy Pimblett.
Wow.
But, so Tony Ferguson, man, he threw one glove on the ground and said, I'm, like, half retired. Like, we'll see. I'm going to keep this one just in case. No, man, just retire. Just retire. We're sick and tired of watching you lose every time. We wanted to see one more win. It's just not going to happen, man. And you got to
see it happening.
Yeah, if he fights some, like, no name that no one's ever heard of them maybe, but like he's fighting high level guys.
Even then, he still might lose.
Yeah, poor Tony Ferguson. I don't want to even give Tony any more shine right now. Like he deserves the respect for his career, but like the more we talk about him, the more he's just going to keep wanting to fight. I feel like he needs to just fade away into obscurity at this point now just to save his own career. It's crazy.
Just rest, man.
Yeah, just rest. Going from a 12-fight win streak to a 8-fight losing streak is
to being the guy
crazy.
That said to beat Khabib, you know?
Yeah, and now you've lost Michael Chiesa in the first round by submission. Man, oh well. Moving up, Marlon Vera, he finally got knocked down in one of his fights. Davison Figueiredo put one big right hand on him, knocked him down. It was a decision, and Davison Figueiredo did win. But Chito Vera had now been knocked down for the first time in his career.
Wow.
Which is crazy. That's like a secret like Max Holloway type of thing that no one knew about. But yeah, he had never been knocked down, and now Davison Figueiredo put the paws on him.
I thought Sean O'Malley was going to do it, especially with that knee.
That knee. The fact that knee didn't knock him down and Davison Figueiredo's punch did is kind of crazy power by Figueiredo. Coming up from flyweight. This man, he's probably next in line after Umar. Now that Umar beat Sandhagen, he's next. But like Davison Figueiredo
to challenge O'Malley for the belt
or Merab, depending on how that fight goes.
O'Malley all the way.
Well, yeah, like we could talk about that when it comes to it. But like whoever wins that fight is gonna fight Umar. And then after that, probably Davison Figueiredo. Davison might fight one more time in between a high-ranked guy, maybe Piotr Jan. I think that fight would be amazing. Yeah. Davison Figueiredo versus Piotr Jan. That could be a fight night headliner. That could be a co-main out of a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That's a great fight. I'd love to see that. But Davison Figueiredo probably could just wait. Like, he probably could just wait it out, get the title fight, but he probably won't. Probably fight Piotr Jan. That would be fun. But yeah. Setting himself up he's running through this division now, and it's kind of crazy that he could just move up in flyweight and have the same amount of success as back down in flyweight.
He's probably feeling stronger, like throw that weight back on.
Exactly. And I think that's exactly what he did. He looked smaller than Vera, but at the same time he didn't look as small as I thought he was going to look.
Yeah.
I was surprised on how big he looked. I thought he was going to look tiny.
Yeah.
He didn't. Moving on up, Share a Bullet versus Michael Olajaychuk. He's 14-0, but Share a Bullet got knocked down in the first round. This guy's gonna get his chin clipped one of these times.
Yeah,
there's gonna be someone out there that catches him clean on the chin, and he's gonna go out cold.
Yeah,
his striking is great, but he's been touched in every one of his fights, and he looks like he's not prepared for a real big power puncher like an Izzy or like
someone that's coordinated with it.
Exactly. Like he could probably point fight with a Sean Strickland and do well and not get knocked out, but then you get someone with a lot of power like a Jared Cannonier.
Like a DDP?
Yeah, probably would put him unconscious. I don't see that bright of a future for him. I mean, I'm sure he's going to get high-ranked opponents and be a big star, but I don't think he'll be a title contender at least anytime soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he picked up the win by decision, 14-0. Got to respect that. Michael Olajaychuk needs to start fighting on prelims again. To go from losing to Kevin Holland to fighting the new up-and-coming prospect, Share a Bullet, on like 2 weeks' notice, man, this guy needs to be on.
Are you saying cancel him?
I'm not saying cancel him. I mean, keep him in the UFC, but the man's 19-9.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Moving up, we got the main event. Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Stop the slander. Cory Sandhagen did not get dominated. It was a very close fight. And also, stop the slander. Umar won. Umar won. Cory didn't get dominated. I need everyone to realize that because I keep on hearing two types of people online. And I don't know where you land. I do. You texted me right away, and you said that Cory Sandhagen got robbed.
It was a robbery.
I don't want to hear it. Cory Sandhagen did not get robbed, but he also didn't get dominated. I hear a lot of people saying, oh, Umar dominated him. And I hear a lot of people saying, oh, Cory got robbed.
Was that the deciding fight?
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
No, it wasn't. I had already won. I got the first two right, so I had already won the predictions. So this one really didn't matter because no matter what, I was going to draw with whoever got this one right.
Yeah.
So it really didn't matter. You and me tied, I think. I think Jake came in last. So, but yeah. So Umar, he definitely won the last 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Like I can admit, like we'll get that out of the way. Umar won the last 2 rounds. Cory Sandhagen, the first 3 rounds were extremely close.
Okay.
And I could see that someone might be able to say, oh, Cory Sandhagen won the first 3 rounds, but that's kind of a stretch. Because they were really close rounds, and somewhere within those 3 rounds, I feel like you had to give one of those rounds to Umar, which would have won him the fight. Cory Sandhagen's takedown defense was so on point. Umar did much better striking than I thought he was going to do.
Wow.
I thought that... Pause.
Oh.
See him?
Yeah, I think it's huge.
Back to what I was saying. Cory Sandhagen, phenomenal takedown defense. Umar, I felt like landed the bigger punches throughout the fight. Like Cory Sandhagen did a lot of his tapping and like trying to, but at the same time he was also scared of the takedown.
You are a hater on volume fighters.
No, it's just not a part of the rules anymore. The rules are who lands the more damage. So immediately when you look at the rules, point fighters, guys who just tap and put on volume, those guys immediately, after that rule got clarified, they kind of fall down the list a little bit. It's harder for them to get wins because their style is not how the judges judge it anymore. And I try to judge fights by the way the official rules say.
Yeah.
So you could say that, like the jabs and the volume, that does a lot. That's not necessarily how the rules work anymore. That's your own way of thinking, and that's fine. But I am going by the way the judges see it, which is who's landing the bigger, more effective strikes.
Yeah.
And those were coming from Umar's side. And I really wanted Cory to win this fight. Like, I wanted to see Cory Sandhagen versus O'Malley. That sounded like beauty in an octagon to me. That sounded like Alex Pereira versus Izzy 2. Well, Izzy 3, 5, I guess.
You think that's the fight like that?
Cory Sandhagen versus O'Malley would probably be an amazing fight.
Nah.
I thought that would be like beauty in a cage. Like, that would be awesome.
Nah, O'Malley versus Jan 2.
That's fine. That you could have that opinion too. We might see that down the road again. But for right now, I wanted to see Cory Sandhagen versus O'Malley, and it didn't happen. But I'm also not going to say that Cory won the fight because he didn't. He won. I said that he won rounds 2 and 3. Those are the rounds that I gave him. I gave Umar round 1, I gave Umar round 4, and I gave Umar round 5. That won him the fight. That's just how I saw it, and that's how the judges saw it too. But yeah, I mean, I think one of the judges had it like 49 to 46 for Umar. I don't agree with that. Cory definitely won 2 of those rounds, and I think it was the second and the third.
Like the 49-46 for Costa?
Yeah. I mean, this was less ridiculous than that. That was way more ridiculous. Same with Nate Diaz getting fucking 8 rounds to 2 on Jorge Masvidal. Ridiculous. Crazy.
No, that was
crazy. Crazy. It's ridiculous. But this was more justified because it was such a close fight. And the people saying that Cory got dominated and wiped away, it's just ridiculous. He didn't. He was in the fight the entire time, and it was a close fight all the way through. I just gave it to Umar. I thought Umar won. And this sets him up great for a title opportunity against the winner of Merab versus O'Malley. You say that O'Malley is going to beat Merab.
Yeah.
Do you think O'Malley beats Umar?
I think O'Malley beats everyone.
Even if he moves up in weight and fights Ilya? Or Max?
It depends how that fight with Ilya and Max go. Like, if Ilya, cleans through Max, then no. But if Max is really, putting the pause on him and shows where his weaknesses are in his striking game, I think O'Malley could find that and catch that because
I could see that.
O'Malley bulking up, he could really fill out that frame.
Yeah.
And really put some power behind it.
I could see that. I definitely see where you're coming from there. I don't think that he does move up yet. I think that Dana's probably going to want to keep him at bantamweight for a little while, at least get the Umar fight out of the way. and then maybe you could hold Davison Figueiredo versus Petr Yan off for a little while, and then have Sugar Sean go up, do his thing. But I think he needs to fight Umar first.
See, that Umar fight's gonna be big because Khabib's gonna want Nurmagomedovs and
it's like Conor versus Khabib too.
Yeah,
it's like the smaller version of Conor versus Khabib, which is kind of cool.
Everyone has that at some point.
Yeah, but Merab versus Umar would be the most boring shit ever. They just fucking wrestle each other
Umar
for
would win
25 minutes.
The wrestling would cancel out.
Yeah, and then he'd have better striking. So
yeah,
I think Umar would beat Merab.
Khabib would fix that.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that more when it comes to it. That's probably not a prediction for another year from now or like a couple months. Probably like it's happening in September. O'Malley versus Merab, so probably like January will probably be when we talk about that fight. Yeah. So we'll go more into depth in January. I know that's a long time to wait, but like we might touch on it.
It'll roll around.
Yeah, it'll roll around. But yeah, we got to see how we got to see how O'Malley versus Merab plays out. See how O'Malley handles the wrestling, stuff like that. Then we can give a more precise prediction. Because now that that's cleared, and that brings us directly into what I really wanted to talk about with you was, you still think that Islam wouldn't have been able to beat Leon Edwards?
Okay.
Because if Bilal was able to do Leon the way he did, and did you see the picture of Islam and Bilal standing next to each other?
Yeah.
Islam's significantly bigger than Bilal Muhammad. Like, he's probably like 3 inches taller, twice as wide, and yeah, he's a weight class lower, but that's just because he sucks himself down so much.
Yeah.
I think that Islam would have beaten Leon Edwards probably worse than Bilal.
Yeah, probably so. After seeing the fight, I really, it was a high level fight on the ground, and I feel like Leon was definitely slacking hard in the striking division, but I really felt like he could have really ended the fight if he threw a couple more elbows.
That's what Jake and I were saying last week. We were saying, why wouldn't you just let it all go until you have nothing left to throw? And if you're scared that Bilal might get up, well, why are you scared? That's where you want the fight, is on the feet. Yeah. So throw, let him get up, and then keep on throwing. Like, empty your gas tank. Because Bilal's not going to finish you.
Yeah.
There's no way you get stuck in a bad position or something where he's going to finish you in the last 10 seconds. You have nothing to lose by just letting the tank empty.
Honestly, if he had at least 2 good rounds before that, I think those elbows could have won him, like, last round or whatever, retain the belt.
Because the scorecards for the judges, one judge gave it round 1 and round 3 to Leon.
Yeah.
And one judge gave round 3 and round 5 to Leon.
Yeah.
So out of the judges, all the judges said that round 3 went to Leon, which, he held his back and he didn't let him up. Yeah. Leon dominated the third.
Round 1 was kind of like a swing.
Round 1 was kind of like a swing, and round 5 was kind of like a swing. And if you put all the judges together, you did get a 1, 3, and 5 for Leon. It was just throughout different judges.
Yeah.
So there was somewhat of an argument to be made that Leon might have won 1, 3, and 4, 1, 3, and 5. I don't agree. I think that Bilal definitely won round 1.
Yeah.
Just in my opinion, I thought he did. Round 5, if you want to go by just damage, then Leon won round 5 because of that elbow right at the end.
I mean, damage is damage.
Damage.
Because at that point, you just cancel all that ground stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's like, now you have the elbows, you have blood. This is more than what's done the whole round.
And then round 3, definitely Leon's, because he just held his back the entire time. And he did Bilal Muhammad's strategy in the third round better than Bilal did in any other round.
Yeah, he
Because
did.
every round, Leon would eventually swap positions with Bilal. Like, Bilal in rounds 1, 2, 4, and 5 held on to Leon, got his back, wrapped up the triangle, held on to him, and then in the last, 30 seconds, Leon would flip the position or get back up.
Yo, it would literally be like end of a story. Like, you think it's like he's going to do something, and he did nothing.
But in the third round, Bilal wasn't able to get back up.
Yeah.
Like, Leon held him down for the entirety of the third. Bilal never did anything like that to Leon. He never had him in a bad situation for an entire round like Leon did in the third. So somehow Leon showed that he was the better fighter and that he was better in the areas that Bilal was good at. It's just that Bilal managed to keep on getting to those positions more often.
Yeah.
He would get into it in the first second, fourth, fifth. He kept on going back to it over and over again. And Leon stopped circling to the middle of the cage.
Yeah.
That was his biggest problem, is that he stood up against the cage, let Bilal go like this, and then shoot a double leg. Every time, that was the exact same thing that happened because Leon stopped circling to the center.
Yeah.
That was his biggest flaw. And I think that he could have won if he kept on circling to the center.
He kept trying to go for, like, these one knockout type of...
Yeah, just, like, wait, time it for the knee or something like that.
It's not Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, no. And Bilal, I think, strategized that exact thing, was get him up against the cage, wait for him to try and throw a shot, time the takedown.
You remember the name?
Considering DC couldn't even remember the name right after it happened, and he called him Leon Edwards by accident. After he loses to Rakhmonov, I don't think anyone's going to remember the name.
Yeah.
I think that Rakhmonov beats him in his next fight, and Bilal just slides down the card.
I don't think Bilal even gets... I mean, unless it's Rakhmonov, he really doesn't even get a main event. He might co-main event his title fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be a co-main event to something bigger.
That co-main event, John Jones and Tom Aspinall.
That's never happening, but we can move into that now. After watching Tom Aspinall knock out Curtis Blades in 1 minute, do you not believe that he could do that to John Jones? You don't think... Because Curtis tried to take him down. Curtis tried to take Tom Aspinall down, and he couldn't. Tom Aspinall got back up. And arguably, Curtis Blades is a better wrestler than John Jones. So would John Jones be able to get it to the ground on Tom Aspinall? Or would Tom Aspinall be able to keep it on the feet and knock out John Jones in the exact same way? Because that's kind of how I see it.
Here, I don't have an answer for you, but I have a thought. My thought is when you look at John Jones and what we expect of him, he's coming up, moving up a weight class. He was supposed to fight Francis. Things didn't work out with Francis, so he ends up fighting Cyril Gane, who we think is one of the best strikers in the heavyweight division. And in that fight, we get to see John Jones move and do what he does at heavyweight. He takes a nut shot. Okay, he takes a nut shot. Next thing you know, Cyril Gane, one of the best strikers in the heavyweight division, throws a punch. John Jones slips it, takes him down, and submits him. I'm not saying like that's like super like blah blah blah, but I'm saying that our expectations of John Jones it's clouding certain things, and I think him versus Tom Aspinall would be a good fight because you can arguably say this is Tom Aspinall's best opponent.
Yeah.
And when you put it like that, it's like you can't just discredit John Jones because we've never seen John Jones lose. And those are just the facts. So I think that I can see Tom Aspinall knocking out John Jones. Like, he's younger, he's faster, but I just think it would be a very high-level fight.
Okay, and I think that there are ways for John Jones to win the fight.
Yeah.
It's just you have an older version of Curtis Blades, and Curtis Blades just got knocked out by Tom Aspinall. I see the fight going the exact same way. Tom Aspinall has much better takedown defense than Cyril Gane, so I'm sure he can
and so you
defend one takedown at least.
So you don't think Alex Pereira could knock out John Jones just as fast?
No, because John Jones would actually be able to shoot one takedown, take down Alex Pereira, and choke him out the same way he did to Cyril Gane.
You think he would do it in the first round?
First round, first 30 seconds. Same thing that happened with Cyril Gane, exact same
fight. You believe
fight.
that?
I believe that.
Okay.
I believe that Alex Pereira has less takedown defense than Cyril Gane. Like, his takedown defense, Alex Pereira's takedown defense is worse than Cyril Gane's.
Wow.
I honestly believe that. Izzy took Alex Pereira down. If Izzy can take you down, anyone in the UFC can, even a flyweight.
Do you think DDP takes down Alex Pereira and beats him?
Yes.
DDP?
Yeah, because DDP actually knows how to wrestle.
Okay.
And no, Alex Pereira hasn't fought anyone who knows how to wrestle in the UFC yet.
Ankalaev's going to stand with him, but...
Ankalaev is fighting on the early card of UFC 308.
Wow.
He's not even fighting Alex Pereira. That fight's not happening. Ankalaev is going to be fighting Ratchik, Alexander Ratchik.
That's a good fight.
It's a good fight. It just doesn't make much sense. I mean, Ratchik just lost to Yuri. You would think Ankalaev deserves the shot next. this one really doesn't make much
Pereira
sense.
For saving.
They want Ratchik to beat Ankalaev so that Alex Pereira could actually beat Ratchik. I think they are scared of putting Alex Pereira in there with Ankalaev because they know Ankalaev would win.
Because he's their cash cow right now.
Exactly, so they want to save him at all costs.
If he loses, he's just going to move up.
Same thing with John Jones, the cash cow that John Jones, and Dana White doesn't want to put John Jones with Tom Aspinall. It makes no sense. John Jones is going to retire after seeing that performance that Tom Aspinall did.
What's going to happen is John Jones, he's going to play the waiting game. He's going to beat Stipe. He's going to pretend like he's going to retire, pretend like he's going to hang it up. He's going to have us on the edge of the seats thinking that the Tom Aspinall fight's going to happen. And he's going to make it to where Tom Aspinall is going to continue to do his thing. Maybe Alex Pereira gets to fight with him, or someone gets to fight with Tom Aspinall. But they're hoping it's Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira knocks out Tom Aspinall.
That won't happen.
But if it did happen, John Jones is going to come in and be like, oh, wait, I'm still here.
He's going to avoid Tom Aspinall.
And it's smart, but
it's smart, but on the same thing, like it's gonna leave a dent in his legacy, because it's gonna be the last thing people remember about his legacy. People aren't gonna go. The first thing they think about isn't gonna be, oh, remember his 11-year win streak where he won the title and never lost a fight after that, or are they gonna remember, oh yeah, but he retired because Tom Aspinall was the interim champ? That's going to be the first thing a lot of people remember.
John Jones will fight Tom Aspinall. If he was going to fight Francis, he was going to fight Tom Aspinall. Because how would a fight between Francis and Tom Aspinall go?
See, but that's the thing. Even Francis Ngannou is a perfect example. When I think of Francis Ngannou, I no longer think about the guy that knocked everyone out on its way to the title and then knocked out Stipe in 2 rounds. I don't think about his knockout over Alistair Overeem. I don't think about any of his knockouts. The first thing I think about when someone says Francis Ngannou is that dude left the UFC because he was scared of John Jones. That's the first thing I think about. And if John Jones does the exact same thing to Tom Aspinall, I think that that's going to be the same thing a lot of people think. Is the same way you think about Francis Ngannou now is that he was scared of John Jones. People are going to say John Jones was scared of Tom Aspinall. But that's just my opinion. Do you have any opinions on the Paddy the Baddy fight? No? I mean, he submitted Bobby Green pretty easily. Bobby Green shot for a takedown. Why did he do that? Didn't make much sense. Yeah. But place went electric. Paddy the Baddy, top 15. There's not really much else to say. He needs a little bit of a higher rank test now.
It was all right.
It was good. Yeah, I was impressed by it. So, all right. Do you have anything else to say about 304 before we move on to our predictions for Tybura versus Spivak? Like anything else to say about Bilal versus Leon or anything? All right. So then in that case, I think there's only really the main event to go off of here. I mean, there's not much. There's like Danny Barlow versus some guy I've never heard of before. That? I don't know. The co-main event is Damon Jackson versus Chappie Marçal. I don't know, man. Tybura versus Spivak is mainly the one. Spivak already has lost to Tybura like back in 2020. So like 4 years ago, Tybura beat Spivak, but now they're doing the rematch. They both have had a lot of wins and a couple losses. They're ranked 1 apart from each other in the division. Who do you have?
With options.
Marcin Tybura or Sergey Spivak?
Spivak.
You got Spivak?
I got Spivak.
All right, I got Tybura.
All right.
So then we're titles on the line. Spivak versus Tybura. You got Spivak. I got Tybura. That's fine. I am fine with leaving it right there. We don't have to do anything else on this card. I probably won't even end up watching most of it. I'll probably just start the Chris Gutierrez fight and then watch till the end. Maybe we'll see. I might just watch the main event. Honestly, this card sucks. But yeah. So that we are at 30 minutes. So I think we can wrap it up. You want to give our review on the
Terrence Crawford fight?
Yeah, the Terrence Crawford fight that I didn't watch, so he's got all the opinions on that.
The Terrence Crawford and Israel Madrimov fight. It was a really good fight. You see Terrence Crawford moving up to his 4th weight division to chase Canelo, moving up and bulking up. And you actually see Terrence Crawford. What won him the fight is that Majimov wasn't closing in. He wasn't making the combinations. He had the power to. He had the high-level skill. Terrence Crawford actually went up a division and fought one of the best at that weight class to take the belt. He actually chose the hardest fight, and he did put up a very good fight. I thought he won a lot of the rounds. He showed a lot of heart and determination, and I think Terrence Crawford deserved to be number one pound for pound. Well, I think he is number one pound for pound, but that was a really good fight.
Yeah, I'd say the Canelo fight is probably the one big deal left.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think there's no one on his level right now.
Yeah.
Like, not at any division, not even at divisions that, like, Alexander Usyk, pound for pound, I think Terrence Crawford might still be better than Alexander Usyk.
Yeah.
There's just, the Canelo fight is all that he's got left to secure his legacy.
Canelo's, he's fighting some random guy.
Exactly. And that's just how boxing is. They should put the best with the best, but they just don't do that. That would be the most entertaining thing right now is Terrence Crawford versus Canelo as soon as possible while both men are still somewhat in their prime. I know Canelo's slightly out of his prime at this point now, but before he gets way too far out of his prime, do the fight. Do the fight.
Because Canelo's only 33. He's in good age.
Yeah. But still, like, I feel like his prime was a couple of years ago. I feel like he's slowly moving away from it, especially after watching his last fight. Like, that kid was kind of piecing him up a lot. Like,
well, he was undefeated and a champion.
Fair. Yeah. But still, I think that Canelo would have handled that kind of pressure a lot better a couple of years ago, opposed to what he's doing now.
Especially when you fight Floyd.
Yeah. Still young, and that fight was when he was really young. That fight might have went a little bit different if Canelo was a little bit older.
But that's boxing.
That's boxing. But yeah, I want to see that fight. I'd tune into a Terrence Crawford versus Canelo fight. That'd be sick.
The thing is, it's just about. I think Terrence Crawford was at 154. I think he moved up to 157, maybe 160. I don't know the numbers too well, but he's moving up, and the fear is that he's not big enough for Canelo, but this last fight, fighting one of the best in that division that he moved up to and winning the belt, it shows that he's strong enough. Because Terrence Crawford actually was a state champion wrestler.
Yeah.
He has that background.
But at the same time, I bet when Canelo was moving up in weight classes, the same thing was put on him. Like, oh, this guy's too big for Canelo. Canelo's too small to go up to this weight class. I'm sure he had the same exact stuff said about him. So Terrence Crawford, this is nothing new. Just follow the exact same path that Canelo took.
Canelo went up to 170 and fought Bivol, and he lost twice. He just couldn't handle the size difference.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like Bivol was like that much of a strategist. He was just too powerful, too young.
Yeah. All right, and I see that perfectly. But, yeah, you got anything else to say about that?
No.
All right, well, then I think that's about time for us to wrap it up. I think 34 minutes is pretty good. Yeah, so next week, tune in. We'll do a review for Spivak versus Tybura, and we will be doing predictions for UFC 305. Dracus Duplessis versus Israel Adesanya, Kaikar France versus Steve Erceg, Gamrot versus Dan Hooker, Tai Tuivasa versus Rosenstrike. Like, this card is stacked. Like, we even got the Leech back. The Leech is back. This card is great. I can't wait to review it next week, and I can't wait to watch it 2 weeks from now.
Yes.
We'll be doing the predictions next week, review 2 weeks from now. Tune in, stay tuned for that. That'll be awesome. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Elijah, for being here. Welcome back to the Hardcore and the Casual podcast. We missed you last week. You are back now. You get another shot at regaining your title that is around my neck right now. And I'm your host, Justin. That has been Elijah. This has been the Hardcore and the Casual podcast. Peace out.